So here in this video, I'm going to share with you my experience with sleep apnea, how I discovered it, how it affected me or still affects me, what I did about it, and yeah, basically what I can do about it. And as a quick disclaimer, this should be no medical advice whatsoever. If you feel like there's anything wrong with your sleep or you suffer from anything, like go get yourself checked. Now to start off, like how did I even discover or found out that I have sleep apnea? It was actually very funny, a coincidence, because I was doing a blood test, just like a yearly blood test where we got like all my parameters, and I showed it to my coach, and my coach, funny enough, is also like a medical professional. And he looked through my blood work and he said like everything's totally fine, just like your hematocrit is a little bit elevated. That's either because you're dehydrated or because you snore. And I was like, okay, cool. It's probably not because I'm dehydrated, because I take very good care of my hydration. So I was asking my girlfriend, hey, like, do you notice me snoring? And she has a pretty deep sleep. She said like, I can't really tell, maybe a little bit, but not to like a very strong extent. So I was like, okay, cool, interesting. Maybe that leads to a little bit more further investigation. So I did some more tests, and I also talked to a friend who's been suffering previously from sleep apnea. And he said he did this sleep study where they, like wire you up and like you go to that clinic and you sleep there for the night, and they take all your vital markers, and basically in the morning you get like a full diagnosis of like your vital markers, your health markers, your like all that sort of stuff. So after talking back with the doctor, we also decided for me to do that. And it was just simply like super interesting for me to do. Like I was actually excited to do that because I love measuring stuff. I love, like knowing my body very well and testing stuff, like where I'm at, all of that. And now in retrospect, like, because of course, like how does sleep apnea show? You start to feel less energetic, even though you get sufficient sleep, like time in bed and quality sleep. You start to feel a little bit less energetic. In the long term, it can have like, of course, like way harder, way more impactful complications, but I wasn't there. So I was like, yeah, maybe there is something. Now in retrospect, I guess there was something, but at that time I didn't really realize. I just thought it's like, I don't know, like a little bit more stress, and that's why I'm like not as energized. Happens to all of us, right? So I got in contact with the clinic, we found a date. I went there on a Friday evening, and they asked me a few questions. They had a look at my nose and all of that, and he already said like, oh, you have a little bit like tight airways inside your nose, but still we're gonna do the test. So they wired me all up, like I can show a photo here. Like they wired me up, I looked like a cyborg. It was like kind of like uncomfortable because like you felt like every little move you do, like you're worried that the cables fall off. And yeah, and then they fully instructed me. They said like, do what you usually do, and I did like, like I brushed my teeth, I got my bedtime routine. I was already wearing these, and I'm gonna explain a little bit more what they do in a second. And basically I did the sleep study, and I have to say it was honestly like it was really one of the worst nights that I've had in the recent years. Because of course it's like one thing to sleep in a different sleep environment, but the other thing is like if you're all wired up and like there's a lot of like, let's say also like electromagnetic waves around you, you just feel very uncomfortable. I think the first experience ever, I had a nightmare inside a nightmare. So I was like having a nightmare, and then I thought I was waking up, and I thought, okay, this is now, like I'm awake right now. And I was still in the nightmare. And because I've never had that, like if you've ever had that, like crazy how that freaks you out. Like it's wild because you actually think like the nightmare is real, right? Anyway, like I survived the night barely. I was like, yeah, like I don't know like how accurate these measurements gonna be, because my sleep sucked a lot. And they were like, no, don't worry. Even though, like if you feel like the sleep was not very productive, we can still measure a lot of stuff that will be relevant for the diagnosis. So the doctor came in the next morning, he went through all the parameters, and he said like, yeah, there's a sleep apnea, a mild one, but it is there. And one of the main markers that was for me relevant, why he said like that there's a sleep apnea, was my oxygen saturation. So that means I wasn't getting enough oxygen into my system because of my tight airways. And that over time can lead to lower oxygen saturation in your blood, and can have health complications down the road. I think mine was around like 93% 98% on average, and ideally it should be 96, 97. Although it seems like a very small error, like he sees like that can have profound effects down the road. And then of course my question was like, okay, doctor, cool. So what can I do about it? And he said like, for you, it's probably one of two things or a mix of both. You have tight airways. We already saw that the night before when I examined your nose. And the other thing is also like elevated body weight. Because although I'm not like overweight or obese in the classical sense, I do carry a little bit more muscle than the average individual, which puts me in a little bit of a higher weight category. So my BMI is overweight, somewhere there. But of course with muscle. And he said like, okay, you could see an improvement when you reduce your body weight, because I was just about to enter a fat loss phase, so I was like about to reduce my body weight anyway a little bit. But there still will be the nose thing, because your airways are just tight. Your turbines are tight. And what he suggested there basically is to get an operation. I can show you the pictures right now here too. Basically what they do is they go inside with a needle. I think they even like they put like some sort of solution and then they suck out extra tissue. That should last for like 10, 12 years, and then you might need to do it again. He said, we can do that. It's a relative easy operation, very low risk, but it might be not the final solution, because I am just about on the border to get a CPAP machine. You know, like the machines that you like put on yourself at night and then you get like oxygen into your face. And I was obviously trying to avoid that. I don't want to be wired up all night, every single night. Although I have a friend actually who's doing that and is wearing that, and he said like it completely changed his life, just from a simple practicality standpoint, and because we're traveling a lot. I'm just trying to avoid it. So then ultimately we decided on the operation. I think like, I don't know, like 2-3 weeks after I got an appointment, we went to the hospital. It was like just like a local anesthesia, and I was surprisingly feeling quite a lot. It was uncomfortable, I can tell you. Also, here's some pictures about that. But basically, recovery process was relatively simple. I just had to take a few medications for anti-inflammation and for pain management, that sort of stuff. And then the recovery process started coming in. So basically, I continued as normal. And after like a month, 2, I tried to like see, okay, like, do I actually feel a difference? I do think there was a difference, but nonetheless, before I was still using those straps here sporadically. But after that, I was like, okay, cool. Like there is something, I need to do something about it. So let me wear it every single night. These straps are made to like open up your nose and you get better airflow. And honestly, for me, they are now a non-negotiable because they help you so much with productive sleep. You feel so much more recovered. And they're just a complete game changer. Just when you order them, make sure you get the ones that say extra strong, because all the other ones, they like, at least for me, they don't work and they fall off halfway through the night, and yeah, doesn't do the job. So get the strong ones. And ever since, like, I have to say, I think it's very hard to measure because like it's such a long healing process and all of that. I think there was a improvement, but I haven't done yet another sleep study to actually see if the metrics have changed, if the oxygen saturation has changed. I'm gonna do that probably very, very soon because I'm just like super curious, of course, like to find out. But as of right now, I think the operation helped, but I think these help a ton more. And I usually, as I said, like I wear them all night, every single night, and usually also like wearing them until the next day once they fall off, because it's just like, it's like if you ever wore one of these, like it's a very cool feeling actually when you get like, you know, like this extra boost of oxygen. Highly recommended. So yeah, ultimately that means I am still on the journey. I'm still about to find out where this whole diagnosis, this whole thing is gonna lead me to. Maybe one day or maybe soon I'll be still needing a CPAP machine. As I said, like I'm trying to avoid that. Maybe there's another way of operation that they could do, which, as I said, like I prefer to have like a solution that doesn't involve like carrying a machine around you all the time. But if in the end it really has to be and there's no other way, of course I'll be open to the idea, because ultimately I think it is something that you can get used to, and especially the upsides that you can get from that will outweigh the negatives by far. And to close this off right now, I'm definitely going to do another video once I have the next step in this journey done. and know what's going to happen. If you maybe are in a position where you snore, maybe having sleep apnea, like having the suspicion, I can recommend you definitely like to get your nose checked, to have a look at that. If you're tend to be, or if you're overweight, or if you're just carrying too much weight around you, losing weight, losing body fat can make a massive difference. And if you're not in the same pot as people like me who are just like genetically not gifted with their airways, this could be maybe the whole thing already. As I said, talk to your medical professional, but in the first place, the biggest lever you have right now is reducing your body weight, your body fat to a healthy level. And not only because of the potential sleep apnea or anything like that, you're just gonna feel better in your skin, you're gonna feel more energized, you're just gonna life's gonna look different. If you're in good shape, life looks different. There are more opportunities, people want to be around you, you are more efficient, you earn more. Like, it's just like all these upsides that come with it. So yeah, that's an absolute game changer in and of itself anyways. If you want to know, because that's literally also like what I help my clients with, and I had a lot of people actually like improve their sleep quality drastically. As I said, I'm not doing any medical consultations or diagnosis or anything like that, but when you see people going from pretty crappy sleep to feeling freaking amazing, there's probably something that works. So if you want to find more about that, if you want to get in shape, drop some extra kilos, look good and feel good in your skin again, you can click the link down below and apply for a free consultation call where we have a casual chat, have a look at your situation and see if that could be something that would make sense in your situation. And if you haven't done so, follow me on my Instagram at @thefithighperformer or connect with me on LinkedIn at @RobinGood. If you have any open questions or something, like always, I always love to chat and maybe see if there's something that I can help with. So that's it, what I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did so, smash the like button, leave me a comment. I'm gonna reply to all the comments, and then I see you in the next video.